Hello, everyone. It's very nice to meet you. My name is Monika Manolova, and I'm a PhD in Geographic Information Systems from Sofia, Bulgaria. I would like to thank the organizers for having me, and I know how difficult it is to organize even a small event, and having together all that data and all that visual information out of everybody in order to get us all together and exchanging in such a format. I know how difficult it can be. So thank you for the organization. Thank you for having me, to everyone that's involved. And I think it's brilliant that we can connect in this wonderful way globally now that we can exchange information and we can exchange knowledge and create some connections. So I would like to invite anyone that's interested in discussing further some of the issues that I'm going to share with you right now. I'm inviting you, please feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn and of course send me an email so that we can continue our discussion and hopefully stay in touch after this. I think that it's brilliant that we get to share our experiences in different knowledge spheres, and that we get to connect those experiences with different technologies and then contextualize and provide some innovative solutions, some added value solutions to issues that were a couple of decades ago considered impossible to solve. So, about me and why geographic information systems. So, when I started learning geography, it wasn't in order to get involved in the digital sphere. It was mostly about finding out the connections between the different elements that surround us, ecosystems and human beings. And it was very important for me to discover these connections, and that's how I discovered geographic information systems. Because geographic information systems connect all the available information that is on the planet's surface and below it and around it, and they provide the context for what's happening around us, the connections, and they provide additional value to the already existing knowledge that we have, which may be purely theoretical, but when you put it into a geographic information system, you can actually come up with some solutions that are applicable at locally, and then that can impact the global community. So GIS is quite important and is a niche science still, but it is also one of the niche sciences that comprise data science, and it has a huge role to play for machine learning and artificial intelligence. There are two types of inputs for geographic information systems. One of them is vector data, which is georeferenced features which contain attribute information, which could be anything like a tree, a house, a building, that contains information, and it is pointed and referenced topologically on the system that you're using. And then there is pixel data, which is satellite imagery, and all the satellite imagery is becoming even better now that we have all these excellent missions going into space that can provide us with constantly improved information, which is improved in resolution and improved in context, in bands, in all these ways that contextualize better, that provide us with added value, and that can help us connect the different occurrences on our sphere better. Machine learning is just a toolbox. It's a way to work around the challenges of processing that much information. And artificial intelligence is also a tool which can be applied for the solution of these large data sets and for their processing in a way that can be utilized for the betterment of humanity. Because that's what we are all aiming for when we do science, when we analyze data, when we try and provide solutions, when we want to resolve an issue that has occurred. And GIS has been utilized quite regularly by every single one of us via Google Maps or Google Earth or OpenStreetMap, if you have used that. And then there is, of course, the COVID-19 dashboard, which is a classic example, which every single one of us saw a couple of years back in 2020. It was our way to track and map and see the spread of a disease on the area of the entire planet. And it was, in some instances, our way to prevent that disease from spreading. So these are two very concrete examples of geographic information systems in practice. And then there are the other examples. There are different ways to utilize GeoAI in order to apply solutions, different contexts. Some of them could be urban. Some of them could include industrial sites, analytics of heat in cities, analytics of air pollution. Some of them could include analytics of logistics and transport within the urban scope. And then there are those that are purely environmental, that can analyze the connections between ecosystems, that can analyze the river flow, and that can provide additional information on agricultural produce. And I do believe that GeoAI can solve most of the issues that humanity faces, from climate change to food shortages to the need for pure water to be available for every single person on the planet. And here is where geographic information systems research and applications and projects come into play. All of us that deal with geography within its different contexts are in some way, shape or form involved in contributing to the knowledge base of OpenStreetMap, involved in contributing to these global climate models, and involved in ground truthing them, and then using them for our practices. So it doesn't matter whether you're involved in a project that deals with water management and ecosystems, or if you're involved in urban management and making sure that the people within your city are breathing the best possible air for that locale. All of us are connected by our passion, by trying to make those impacts better, by trying to make the world a better place to live it, and to make sure that we are all contributing to the global task of climate change and climate change mitigation. So, how we can do that? The issue with climate change models is that they're at resolution which makes them very difficult to translate to local level. So you have these wonderful, very well-organized scenarios of how the world is going to change if the temperature rises. You can see the changes globally, you can see even some of the local impacts, but that is very difficult to translate to local action. And local action is what is necessary for governments, for municipalities, for citizens to know how their actions impact the global scale of things. So what geographic information systems in terms of artificial intelligence does is it uses local data, ground truthing data, and additional learning resources in order to contextualize these models and provide solutions for local actors. This could be done in a variety of ways with a variety of toolboxes. The most important thing, however, is that we have that ground truthing data, which is quite closely related to Internet of Things. Your GPS location, the connection between the utilities in your house and the electric grid, all of this stuff could be fed into a global model which showcases your individual impact on the environment, but it can also be connected to better management of the overall systems that run our world and can also translate into concrete actions. And this is why I do believe that geographic information systems and GeoAI is going to be one of the most important fields in the next decade and in the decades after. Because right now we have all the excellent tools that are constantly growing. We have brilliant data inputs that are also improving due to improvements in resolution, improvement in satellite imagery, excellence in data gathering, but we also need that ground truthing element. We need that community that is global, that is willing to map information and share it with the local systems so that we are sure that the models are complete and they're true to form and based on reality, and the solutions that are suggested within GeoAI are applicable within the context. And that is extremely important. So how to get involved in that? There are a couple of global communities which are open to participation. I participate in two of them. One of them is Mutant AI, which is an artificial intelligence group that is ethics-oriented. We have discussions there on the betterment of ethics within artificial intelligence and how we can best use data in order to provide actual solutions without causing any inequality, being more inclusive in our models, making sure that everyone benefits from them. And then there is Omdina, of course, which is a quite large AI engineering community. And it doesn't matter which level of knowledge you are, what degree you have, you can get involved in an actual project and you can see how these systems are developed and how they are used for actual cases and applied in reality. These are two completely open ecosystems that you can join anytime and you can benefit from them. And of course, I do believe that artificial intelligence in the future is going to depend on all of us to make it more equal, to make it more relevant, and to provide actual solutions for the communities that we are a part of. So I do not believe that knowledge should be restricted. I believe that the more we share with each other, the more we communicate, the more we are able to find the better solutions. And that's especially true in geographic information systems. For the development of solutions that can actually help change the course of history, that can help with climate change, I think that every single one of us can add value. It doesn't matter where we are in the world. It doesn't matter what types of solutions we are using. You can actually, right now, go into social media and provide a snapshot of polluted river and connect with someone who is dealing with geographic information systems within the community, and they will probably find a way to include that data into a model, to provide a case study, to make sure that the pollution is heard about and that there is a solution on the way. And it may not be immediate, but it is important for us to connect in that fashion, to make sure that we have ground truthing information, that we are connected, and that all of our models are verified and inclusive for everyone. So, steps. What are the steps here? First of all, do not be afraid of technology. What we call models are only steps that we are taking in order to input some data, to process it, and to try and get to a solution. And technology should be and is developed with the idea to be inclusive. Every single one of us and all of us have a role to play in it in order to make it better. Then, the second one is, if you're interested in climate change, if you're interested in developing models, try and do that. Try and be a part of that community and try and get involved in some way. Include some information from air sensors, map out your own life and figure out your impact on the environment. And I promise you, every single one of these models has a GeoAI element or a component to it. And when you add all of these components together, which is step 3, you can actually get to a solution. Some solutions that I'm currently involved in include scientific analysis for the Danube River. They include analysis of peripheral habitats. They include analysis of the urban context. And hopefully in the future, we'll get to enjoy the fruit of some of these scientific studies and some of these scientific solutions. because it is important, as I mentioned in the very beginning, it is important to discover the connections between events and occurrences within our lives and within the ecosystems that we are a part of. Whether they're urban ecosystems or rural ecosystems, whether we are a part of a city or a part of a rural area. So that was my very short presentation. I have a lot more things to say, of course, but I think that I'm running out of time. So please feel free to connect with me. There are a lot more concrete examples that I can share with you about different use cases where Geo AI is used for the betterment of humanity. And always remember that you can get involved in it. So you can be a part of a model or an ecosystem or a solution that can help solve problems that affect a lot of us. Thank you, and hope to see you soon. Cheers.